3 days after the engagement, the Federation Emergency Response Fleet finally arrived at the Kepler 442 system, expecting to find either a destroyed research station or ongoing hostilities. Instead, they discovered something that would fundamentally change how the galaxy viewed humanity. Fleet Admiral Zefthar, commander of the Federation's 5th Battle Group, stood on his flagship's bridge, reviewing the situation reports with growing bewilderment. The Zelani research station was not only intact but had actually resumed normal operations. The feared Krathari raider fleet was present, but every ship was disabled and under human guard. Most disturbing of all, the human vessels responsible for this outcome were currently docked at the station, their crews apparently helping with routine maintenance and scientific research. "Admiral," his intelligence officer reported, "I've completed my analysis of the engagement data." "Sir, the entire battle lasted just under 47 minutes, from first contact to enemy surrender." Zefthar's breathing apparatus whistled as he processed this information. His own battle group, consisting of 12 heavy cruisers and 40 escort vessels, would have struggled against the Krathari fleet even with numerical superiority. 3 human ships had accomplished in less than an hour what the Federation had been unable to do for decades. "What do we know about their casualties?" he asked. "That's the remarkable thing, sir. They report 0 casualties and minimal damage to their vessels. According to their logs, the most serious injury was someone burning their tongue on hot coffee during the engagement." The Federation fleet had protocols for situations like this, but none of them covered what to do when an unknown military force had already resolved the crisis with impossible efficiency. Zefthar decided to approach the situation diplomatically and requested permission to come aboard the human flagship. Admiral Chen received the Federation commander in her ready room, a space that perfectly embodied human military philosophy. The walls were lined with historical artifacts from Earth's military history, including weapons and armor from various eras. What struck Zefthar immediately was not their obvious age, but the fact that they showed clear signs of actual combat use. "Admiral Chen," Zefthar began carefully, "I must express the Federation's gratitude for your swift response to the emergency. However, I'm curious about your authority to operate in this sector." Chen poured herself a cup of coffee from a steel thermos, the same brand that had caused the fleet's only injury 3 days ago. "Admiral, when people are in trouble, authority comes second to action. We received a distress call and responded. It's that simple. But surely you understand the implications of what happened here. The Krathari have terrorized this sector for decades. Your intervention has essentially ended their reign of terror overnight." "Good," Chen replied matter-of-factly. "Pirates and raiders shouldn't be allowed to prey on innocent civilians. Where I come from, that's not a controversial opinion." Zefthar struggled to find the right words. The casual way this human spoke about eliminating a threat that had stymied Federation forces for years was deeply unsettling. "Admiral, with respect, your people are relatively new to galactic politics. The Krathari situation was complex, involving territorial disputes and historical grievances that—" "Admiral," Chen interrupted gently, "they were attacking a civilian research station. There was nothing complex about that situation. Bad people were hurting good people. So we stopped them." The simplicity of the human perspective was staggering to Zefthar. The Federation's approach to the Krathari had involved decades of diplomatic negotiations, economic sanctions, and carefully planned military responses designed to minimize casualties and avoid escalation. The humans had simply identified the problem and solved it with overwhelming force. Meanwhile, aboard the Zelani research station, Dr. Silara was conducting her own interviews with the human crew members who had volunteered to help repair the damage caused by the Krathari bombardment. What she discovered was perhaps more disturbing than the display of military might she had witnessed. "Tell me about your world," she asked Chief Petty Officer Martinez as he expertly welded a damaged power coupling. Martinez paused in his work, considering how to explain Earth to someone who had never experienced real danger. "Well, Doc, it's a beautiful place, but it'll kill you if you're not careful. We've got storms that can level cities, predators that hunt in packs, diseases that can wipe out entire populations. And that's just the beginning. How do your people survive in such conditions?" "We adapt, we learn, we get stronger." Martinez resumed his welding, the sparks reflecting off his protective visor. My grandfather used to tell me about the old days, when humans had to fight just to find enough food to survive. Every generation faced challenges that would have destroyed weaker species. Dr. Silera made careful notes. And your military training? How does it compare to other Federation species? That's the thing, Doc. What you saw out there wasn't just military training. Every human child learns basic survival skills that would qualify as advanced military tactics on most worlds. We learned to fight because our world taught us that anything less means extinction. The implications of this revelation were staggering. Humanity wasn't just a militarily advanced species. They were an entire civilization, forged by adversity into something the galaxy had never encountered. Their technological achievements weren't the result of peaceful scientific advancement, but of desperate necessity in the face of overwhelming challenges. Back aboard the captured Krathari flagship, War Chief Gorthok was experiencing his own cultural shock. The humans had treated their prisoners with a combination of professional efficiency and casual friendliness that completely undermined his understanding of how warfare was supposed to work. "Your wounds are healing well," commented Dr. Patricia Hayes, the human medic assigned to treat the injured Krathari. "The regeneration therapy should have you back to full strength within a few days." Gorthak studied the small human female with confusion. She barely reached his chest, yet she showed no fear in his presence. "Why are you helping us?" "We are your enemies." "We're our enemies," she corrected. "The fighting's over now. You're injured people who need medical attention. It's that simple, but we would have killed you and your people without hesitation." Dr. Hayes paused in her examination of his wounds. "Maybe, but we're not you. Where I come from, we take care of people who need help, even if they were shooting at us an hour ago. It's called being human." The concept was alien to Gorthak's warrior culture. In Krathari society, defeated enemies were either executed or enslaved. This human approach of treating former enemies with medical care and basic dignity made no tactical sense, yet somehow, it made him feel something he had never experienced before: shame for his actions. Word of the engagement spread quickly through galactic communication networks, but the initial reports were dismissed as exaggeration or propaganda. The idea that 3 ships could defeat an entire Krathari fleet seemed impossible to most civilized species. That changed when the Federation released the official sensor data from the battle. The recordings showed combat capabilities that exceeded theoretical maximums for ships of that size. The humans had demonstrated technologies that shouldn't have existed, tactics that violated accepted military doctrine, and a level of coordination that suggested either advanced artificial intelligence or natural combat instincts that other species simply didn't possess. On the civilized worlds of the galaxy, emergency sessions of planetary councils convened to discuss the implications. Some species called for immediate restrictions on human military activities, fearing that such capabilities could upset the delicate balance of power that had maintained galactic peace for centuries. Others, particularly those who had suffered under Krathari raids, quietly began reaching out to human diplomatic channels with requests for mutual defense treaties. But perhaps the most significant reaction came from the Krathari themselves. For the first time in their species' history, they faced an opponent who had demonstrated clear superiority in combat. The psychological impact was devastating to a culture built on the concept of strength through violence. Within weeks of the engagement, reports began reaching Federation intelligence of Krathari clans, abandoning their raiding lifestyle entirely. Some requested asylum on Federation worlds, while others simply disappeared into the outer territories. The most feared pirate faction in the galaxy had been broken not just militarily, but spiritually. Admiral Chen completed her final report on the incident while her task force prepared for the journey back to Earth. The engagement had been a success by any measure, but she knew it had also irrevocably changed humanity's position in the galactic community. "Admiral," Commander Walsh approached her as she reviewed casualty reports. "What do you think this means for our future relations with the Federation?" Chen looked out through the viewport at the Zalani station, where human and alien crews continued working together on repairs and research projects. Despite their fear, the aliens had quickly learned to work alongside their human rescuers. It gave her hope for the future. I think it means we're going to have to be very careful about how we use the capabilities we've revealed, she replied. The galaxy isn't used to dealing with people like us. They've lived in relative peace for so long that they've forgotten what real conflict looks like. Do you think they'll see us as a threat? Some will. Others will see us as an opportunity. But eventually, they'll all understand that we're not going anywhere. Earth has produced a species that thrives on challenge and refuses to accept defeat. That's either going to make us the galaxy's greatest allies or its most dangerous enemies. As the human fleet departed the Kepler 442 system, they left behind more than just a rescued research station and captured pirates. They had introduced the galaxy to a new paradigm, a species that had been tested by the ultimate adversary, their own world, and had emerged victorious. The Deathworlders had announced their presence on the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same. Some species would embrace this new reality, seeking to learn from humanity's unique perspective on survival and adaptation. Others would resist, clinging to the comfortable illusions of their peaceful existence. But one thing was certain: when the next crisis threatened the innocent and defenseless, there would be no question about who would answer the call. Humanity had proven that when faced with impossible odds and overwhelming danger, they didn't just survive, they conquered. The galaxy was about to enter a new age, shaped by the descendants of a blue-green world where every day was a battle against extinction. And for the first time in eons, the forces of chaos and destruction had something to fear: the terrifying precision of those who had learned to fight, not for conquest, but for the simple, unshakable belief that some things were worth protecting, no matter the cost.